Not too long ago, a major boxing matchup occurred between Jake Paul and Tommy Fury. The two had been dancing around one another for a long time, and Fury had to bow out twice due to issues with his health and traveling status. But eventually they were able to square up in the squared circle. In the end, Fury won by split decision, giving Jake Paul his first loss. But despite that loss, Paul had a rematch clause that many felt he would exercise to avenge the loss he had. However, there have been new developments and, more importantly, new challengers who've approached. We're gonna break it down for you, but first be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon so you never miss an upload from us. And with that being said, let's get straight into the video. Do you want to win an iPhone 12, maybe a MacBook Pro? How about $500 cash? All you have to do is comment the secret hidden message somewhere in this video. That's it. Oh, and leave a like on this video and subscribe to the channel so we can keep affording these giveaways. Winner will be announced at the last day of each month. Thanks for watching and good luck. Jake Paul versus Nate Diaz.
I've knocked out every single person that I fought.
Talk to him, baby. Talk.
Every single person that I fought. Hey,
Talk to him.
and Nate Diaz leaving this arena. Because I know you don't want that shit.
Let's start out with a certain star, because someone who's been running his mouth just as much as this boxer has finally gotten his wish on a fight. YouTuber turned prize fighter Jake Paul and ex-UFC bad boy Nate Diaz will compete in a boxing match August 5th at American Airlines Center in Dallas. The bout will be contested at 185 and is contracted for 8 rounds with 10-ounce gloves. The pay-per-view bout will be distributed globally by Diaz.
Who do you want to fight? You've got all the options in the world available to you. Big money draw. Who
I
you
don't
want?
know. I want to fight whoever's the biggest deal, whoever wants to fight.
The event will be a 50-50 collaboration between Paul's Most Valuable Promotions and Diaz's Real Fight Incorporated. It will be the first time Diaz has ever promoted himself, the first time he'll fight outside the UFC in 15 years, and his first career pro boxing match.
This fight is brought to you by Real Fight Incorporated, straight to the gut.
The global event brought to you by Most Valuable Promotions.
It's gonna be f***ing oil and water when those guys get together. It's gonna be clashing. They're camps.
Diaz has competed in some of the biggest pay-per-view events in UFC history, and Paul has made a name for himself in boxing for, well, various reasons we'll get to later. But no matter your feelings on the two, make no mistake, this is a grudge match through and through. Diaz and Paul have exchanged trash talk on social media and in interviews over the past 18 months. In October, during a boxing event headlined by Paul and UFC legend Anderson Silva, Diaz's team and Paul's team got into an altercation backstage.
We're nearly fist fighting backstage.
Fight me. I'll fight you right now, motherfucker.
And Paul challenged Diaz in his post-fight interview after defeating Silva. Diaz has typically fought in MMA at 155 and more recently at 170. Paul has fought as heavy as 191.5 as a pro. He weighed in at 183.6 for Fury. Paul, who's 6-1, lost his first career boxing match in his last bout to Tommy Fury.
You know, Nate Diaz was here acting like a
My whole team will beat your whole team's ass.
Now it's personal, I'm gonna f you up.
The brother of heavyweight great Tyson, back in February via split decision. The Ohio native who trains out of Puerto Rico is undefeated against MMA fighters, including Silva, Tyrone Woodley, and Ben Askren. He beat the latter two by knockout. Paul has only been a pro since 2020. My last fight didn't end the way I wanted, but the result was the best thing that could have happened to my professional boxing aspirations, Paul said in a statement. Now the world thinks I'm vulnerable, when all I am is more focused than ever. My team wanted me to take an easy fight like KSI next, but that's not how I'm built. Nate Diaz is considered one of the most badass fighters of all time, but he and his team have been running their mouths for too long. We'll get to that statement about his opponent's skill later. It's important. Diaz, who's 21-13, fought out of his UFC contract with a submission win over Tony Ferguson at UFC 279 in September. The Stockton, California native handed Conor McGregor his first UFC loss back in 2016. Diaz headlined 10 UFC events and won the Ultimate Fighter 5 tournament in 2007. He's one of the most popular fighters in MMA history, and is a former sparring partner of top boxer Andre Ward. Besides Canelo, he's the biggest thing in boxing, Diaz said in a statement. I'm here to conquer that. I'm the king of combat sports, and then I'm headed back to get my UFC belts. I f***ed up Conor for acting out, and now I'm here again, like a superhero of the real fight game. The king of the real fight game. Diaz has made it known that he plans on returning to the UFC in the future, with a McGregor trilogy fight still on the table down the road. Paul, meanwhile, had talked about a Tommy Fury rematch or the aforementioned bout with fellow YouTube star KSI. But Paul v Diaz was too big of a matchup to pass up. Jake's star power and popularity continue to command massive audiences worldwide. Most Valuable Promotions co-founder Nikisa Badarian said in a statement, his most recent bout, Paul v Fury, surpassed more than 800,000 pay-per-view purchases and was a commercial success for all our partners. Jake remains one of the most avidly followed fighters in the sport, and all eyes are on him, wondering what's next. Well, what's next is one of the most vicious men ever in the cage. No other fights have been announced for the event, though given the bad blood between the two teams, it wouldn't be surprising to see Paul and Diaz teammates on the undercard. Nate's departure from the UFC made him the most sought-after free agent in combat sports history, with all eyes looking to see what his next move would be. Real Fight Inc. president Zach Rosenfield said in a statement, in choosing to make his boxing debut against Jake Paul, Nate found an opponent where there's an organic, non-scripted backstory that motivates him and will clearly capture the excitement of audiences throughout the world. So yeah, they're excited about it. But if you're wondering about Tommy Fury, he's got an opponent too. Apparently, Tommy Fury versus Liam Payne? Liam Payne has baffled his fans after teasing an upcoming fight against none other than Tommy Fury. The former One Direction star shared a poster of the pair facing off, with the event set to take place at Old Trafford in Manchester. The poster simply said, "This summer, announcement tomorrow," while Liam captioned the post with an eyes emoji. The singer did not offer any more details than that, with fans having to wait for further information to come. Fans were shocked by the poster, with many wondering if it was a late April Fool's Day or a wind-up by the pair. One fan wrote, "April Fool's surely," while Googlebox star George Bragg agreed, saying, "April Fool's was last week." Another demanded more information, writing, "Liam James Payne, please explain," while a fourth said, "Liam, what is that?" A fifth fan thought the pair might simply be making music together, saying, "Have they recorded a song together?" A sixth fan joked, "Liam, you're gonna be in pain after this," while another said, "Don't tell me you're boxing." Liam is not known to have any boxing experience, having been heavily involved in cross-country running before joining One Direction. So yeah, this isn't exactly the matchup that fans would expect, and it could indeed be a joke. But then again, given what Jake Paul and others have done in the boxing world lately, nothing is really off the table. And that's kind of the problem, wouldn't you say? Quality of opponents. We've teased it all video, but it's very curious to see Jake Paul accept the fight with Nate Diaz and vice versa. Yes, there is a lot of bad blood between these two, but the problem here is experience. Nate Diaz might be one of the most intense fighters the Octagon has ever seen, but he's not in the Octagon anymore. He's going into his first boxing match ever against Jake Paul, who admittedly doesn't have the most experience, but he's getting more with each fight, which is 7 more than Diaz has. And that speaks a lot to Jake's character, because through his first 6 fighters, he fought multiple former UFC fighters and a former NBA star. The moment he fought someone who can truly call themselves a boxer, he lost. So you'd think he would have gone right after Tommy Fury to right that wrong, but he didn't. He instead went back after an opponent who has less experience than him in boxing. Jake Paul keeps claiming he's one of the biggest things in boxing, but that's not really true. While his last fight did get nice PPV views, one could argue it was because Paul was fighting an actual boxer. Now he's lost his undefeated streak, his mystique. He's going back to bullying UFC fighters. So, what happens if Paul loses to Diaz? That would crush his boxing reputation, and Diaz would make him a huge fool. Guess we'll have to see what happens in August. And there you have it, everyone, a look at everything that has happened with Jake Paul and Tommy Fury, and whether we should be excited for the new matchups they'll have this summer. Do you think either of these matches will have a true impact on what's going on in the boxing world? Or do you think this will be another attempt for both of them to gain the spotlight? Will they ever have that rematch? Let us know in the comments down below. Be sure to subscribe, and we'll see you next time on the channel.